I have seen that every time when I free, say 10 children or 20 children, another 40 or 50 or 100 children were coming in for making carpets, and most of them were trafficked and enslaved. And their mothers used to come all the way from their native villages for help from me and my organization. And it was very, very difficult, cumbersome, as well as risky and dangerous. Many times I was attacked, my people were attacked by those carpet mafias, and they were organized, criminals and so on. So that has prompted me to think for some other thing, that we have to educate consumers, and perhaps consumers can uh, apply their power in changing the behavior of the industry. So it was again very difficult for people to understand that how could it work. But I always believed in the power of human beings, because everyone has compassion. Element of compassion is in all of us. And why can't that compassion be uh, channelized for bigger changes in the society? And secondly, I was not in favor of just blaming the entire industry, because I believe that there are some people in the industry who think ethically and who do ethically, or at least wanted to do ethically if they are given some alternative way of doing so. So I started talking to a number of carpet exporters and manufacturers, as well as the importers in other part of the world, to promote that idea of child labor free carpet. And that required some sort of certification or labeling, which we introduced. Earlier it was known as Rugmark and now known as Good V. And that has helped immensely. Uh, there is no other example which is documented as such a success story, that in 1995-96, the number of child laborers in carpet industry of South Asia, India, Pakistan and Nepal altogether, was over 1 million. That has tipped to hardly 200,000 now in the whole South Asia. So that is a great success story, but the quantity of carpet production and the carpet export did not go down. So it means at least 800,000 children were saved from those situations. And as we see the population growth, the number could have grown much bigger. But in place of those children, the parents or other able-bodied adults could find jobs. So that was also a job creation for at least 800,000, 8 lakh people in the carpet industry.
Right. But why wasn't it this really vibrant example? It's an example that worked. Yeah. It's an intervention that created jobs.
So
Why not
then,
it?
then we tried to work in other industries like chocolate industry, and we have introduced some program there in Ivory Coast and Ghana.
Okay.
Some sort of monitoring mechanism began there in these two major producer of chocolate bean, cocoa beans, that is Ghana and Ivory Coast. Similarly, we introduced the campaign in Pakistan and India about the sporting goods production, and that
Yes, of course.
so that has been also quite successful in reduction of child labor.
Football.
The football, of course, the football, and that was a massive campaign which has brought this issue to the global attention, but also had put tremendous pressure on the industry to change their behavior and not employing children. So that has been also successful, not up to that extent as the carpet campaign was successful, but it has helped.
Right. Right.
We also launched another kind of campaign about the employment of children in firecrackers industry,
Yes, yes.
and that was the widespread campaign among school-going children. There was an incident here in Shivakasi. where about 2 dozen people, and most of them were children, were killed in a blast, cracker blast, in a factory. That was in 1994, perhaps 94 or 95. And I brought those parents to Delhi, and of course, we made a complaint to the National Human Rights Commission. We organized meetings with the parliament members of different parties, where the parents themselves, the mothers themselves, would tell the pathetic stories. But it was the time when we launched a massive campaign in Delhi and then all across India to boycott the firecrackers made by children in such unsafe and hazardous conditions. And that has also resulted in some sort of policy changes in Tamil Nadu, where the government has taken it seriously. But also, some of the big brands were under pressure, and the number of child laborers reduced in the organized production, definitely, but it's still there in the unorganized sector.
We are more familiar, I am more familiar with what happens in Sivakasi, the match and fire industry, where the companies, the match factories themselves do not use children, but they subcontract the work, and then that is subcontracted further, sent to families. So this is a match industry, it's hazardous, and you have children working there. So won't the new amendment to the law also sort of legitimize this kind of exploitation of children?
The children cannot work in 3 industries now, and inflammable substances is one of them. So perhaps it does not allow child labor in any form in matchsticks and the firecrackers industry, because they are inflammable substances. However, the children are allowed to work in most of the industries now, or most of the production processes. May it be the beedi making, may it be the brick kilns or carpet weaving, and so on, under the garb of family enterprise. Only 6 months ago, the same Indian Parliament has passed a law which penalize the sale of BD or cigarettes or any tobacco products with 5 years of imprisonment. So if somebody is selling BDs or cigarettes or tobacco on the street or anywhere for children up to the age of 18, is punishable for 5 years of imprisonment. But on the other hand, now you are allowing the 6-year, 7-year-old children to work and make BDs at home in the so-called subcontractor or petty contractor system. They can work along with the families and real family members, extended family enterprises. So that is very much legalized now.
It was very interesting you pointed out that when you were watching the debates in 86 and then last week, you found the same economic argument for using children. Many changes have happened, we have had sustained campaigns right through. But why do we have the same old economic argument that pushes for children to work?
I think we still have the old mindset in our political class, and lack of sensitivity for child rights. Or I would say sensitivity is much more deeper, but the lack of knowledge about child rights is still lacking. People still think that we are a poor country, the people are poor, the children work, nothing is uncommon or bad in it. Even the politicians think like that. So it's really ironical.
In your estimate, how is the Beti Bachao campaign going to?
I would definitely admire the Prime Minister's initiatives on social issues. I don't see any parallel that any Prime Minister has brought some of the fundamental issues in the political discourse and social discourse as Prime Minister, as he did and he is doing. May it be the Swachh Bharat issue, or may it be the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao issue. But that requires much more substance in it. Like the Beti Padhao is a great social campaigning where the people could be made aware of this issue, and it has helped, definitely it has helped. But it requires a lot of other efforts. Like it began with 100 crore rupees and now it's 200 crore rupees issues. So we have put 100 crore rupee at the same time for the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, when we have put 200 crore for the statue of Vallabhbhai Patel in Gujarat. So its issue is important. It's the pride of India. But the Indian Betis are also the pride of India. The real pride of India are Indian daughters. So if Indian daughters are not safe before their birth or after their birth, then we have to see that how we are going to take it up. Not just as the awareness issue, but also the strong policy issue, strong implementation issue, budgetary allocations for the protection of girls, holding the government agencies accountable on such issues. So it's a serious issue.
What is the one law, one policy that is going to make a huge deal of difference for the children of this country? Is it right to education? Is it the child labor amendment, or is it any other campaign such as Beti Bachao?
I would say that if we are able to sincerely and properly enforce the right to education, then we can protect our children, all children up to the age of 14 at least. So that is the key. Education is still the key, but that law has not been properly enforced.
Right.
With utmost priority, political will, and accountability.
We have a very robust noon meal scheme, a scheme that was launched several decades ago and has been a primary reason for better enrollment, better retention. So, do you think that the current noon meal program or the ICD's, the Anganwadi program, requires some kind of enhancement, requires more funding, more appointment of, the workers who will be able to spend time, who will be motivated enough to spend time in nurturing young children?
Yeah, but it again has several inbuilt lacunae as well as the procedural lacunae. First of all, it requires much more budgetary allocation. The money which has been allocated for midday meal, nationally, it is not enough. It is not adequate. It has to be enhanced. It is something like 3.5 rupees or something like that, and that includes the food and the cooking.
Right.
So normally, so the procedural part is that the cooking is done by the teachers sometimes or with the help of students. So the students and teachers, I have seen this in places like Bihar, in Rajasthan, in different parts of India, where the teachers and the students are cooking food. So half of the time goes in it, and then they eat and then they go back home. So the quality of education is compromised. So you can see that the retention has been maintained or even grown, retention rate, but when it comes to the quality time for educating children has been reduced. And secondly, due to lack of robust accountability mechanism, a lot of corruption was involved. We have seen that the quality of food and quantity of food, both of them are compromised. Sometimes by the teachers and headmasters, and sometimes by the village panchayat people. So there are cases where the children have fallen sick because of the bad food, or the children could not do it. We have, my Indian organization Bachpan Bachao Andolan has initiated a campaign several years ago, and that was making child-friendly villages. So we have been able to make almost 500 villages in India as child-friendly villages. So in most of the child-friendly villages, we got complaints about the midday meal schemes. But let me tell you, child-friendly village is a village where four things are achieved. One is that all children are withdrawn from exploitation, child labor, child marriages, child sexual abuse, etc. All children are attending schools, irrespective of their caste or community or gender. Then all children of the village form a children's panchayat, Bal Panchayat, children's parliament. And then the official village panchayat, which is an elected powerful body, has to recognize the children's panchayat. So both of these panchayats of children and official panchayat agree to work hand in hand, where the children's panchayat leaders can bring their issues directly to the table. The midday meal thing was brought to the notice, where adequate quantity of food was not being supplied, or the children were forced to work in cooking and supplying and distributing food and procuring food materials from the market along with the teachers. So they raised this issue, and we have been successful. In all those places, there is no complaint now because the children themselves took it up.
Right.
And their parents got involved after that, and they started. So a kind of social watchdog mechanism where the children themselves became their watchdog of this issue has helped. So we have to create some social initiatives or social mechanisms. On the other hand, the government should also make the local people more accountable for this.
Since your Nobel, what has changed in you, Mr. Satyarthi? What do you think has changed in you? How are you a different person? You must be a different person. How have you changed?
In my day-to-day life, nothing is changed. I live in the same house. I live in a DDA flat, two-bedroom flat, as I was living for last 25, 30 years. So my clothing, my cars, everything is same. The thing which is changed is my hectic travel that has grown multiple times, and the level of my meetings and interactions. Now I am able to interact with the heads of the states and governments and some of the top leadership of the UN agencies and decision makers in the world, which was very, very difficult those days. However, I was leading two major civil society platforms in the world, so that brought me to certain situations where I had to interact with the top leaders, but it was very, very difficult. Now it become quite easy. I'm able to bring my issues directly to those who can make difference, may it be the political leadership, may it be the social leadership, or may it be the moral leadership like Nobel Laureates, Peace Laureates and others, or academic like the presidents of universities or chancellors, vice chancellors. So that has been helpful.
Right. So, do you enjoy this new phase?
Actually, earlier also, I was very choosy. I want to prioritize my time, my energies for children, and that is exactly the same. If I cannot push or advance my agenda for children further, I don't accept any invitation or anything. I don't go anywhere. So that is the same.
All right.
But the label is different, of course. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
My pleasure too.